Okay, I'm gonna start a quick update on my toolbox. This is the last toolbox tour I will do with this toolbox. I'm in the process of building a new shop, and once I move over there, this box is going away and I'm gonna get a much larger box. Not too much has changed in here since my last tour. Still kind of the same setup, metric on this side, standard on that side. Same kind of sockets. Let's see, what else? What has that been added? Here's a set of Cornwell 12-point mid-deep metrics. Here's a set of Carlisle 12-point quarter metric. Here's my gray pneumatic set of magnetic quarters in metric. These have the magnet in them. Use those for interior work quite a bit. That's why I keep them in the separate case. Try to keep them clean. Let's see. 3/4 extra deep for case bolts. It's a 12mm driveline socket. There is the Wild tap sockets. I finally bought a dedicated IPR socket to kind of replace my homemade IPR socket. 1/2-inch deep stuff. Started kind of replacing a lot of my cheap garbage sockets. I got some Matco in there. There's some Snap-on. Still have that 12-point SK set. Got the an SK set in 3/8 standard. Let's see what else. Not much else. Started replacing some of my deeps in standard with some Cornwell sockets. Got some extras here and there. Let's see what else. Been trying out these Vim magnetic rails. They're nice, but they're kind of expensive. Picked up this gear wrench set of wobble Torx. And I think that's about it for this drawer. Next drawer down, wrenches. Got my Cornwell set of metric wrenches. There's a bunch of Snap-on crow's feet line wrenches. Use those for hydraulic fittings. This is the set of Snap-on extra long standards with the Fluke Drive Plus. I've got those from 3/8 all the way up to 1-inch. Next drawer down, more wrenches. I've got the Cornwell set of the box ends in both metric, and I've got them in standard. This is a set of Mountain metric ratcheting box ends that I picked up. I've had these for about a year now. These are awesome. I love them. That's about it there. Here's a money drawer. A lot of big wrenches. I continue my Snap-on in flank drive all the way up to 1 1/4. I don't skip any sizes. I even have a 1 1/16. There's my Craftsman double-ended. I got those up to 1 7/16. Let's see. What else? I've got some Snap-on angle wrenches. I've got just a few that I use most. Here's a 1 1/4. There's a 7/8. There's a 3/4. Cornwell half moon wrench. Use that on Cummins turbos. Here's a snap-on 13 and 14 S wrench. This is useful for door hinges. And then just some various standard-ish ratcheting wrenches. This little guy here, this is a Tecton 7mm flex box end. This thing is great for doing blower door motors and Fords. Anybody who's ever done one of those knows some of the accessibility problems you have. This has saved me from pulling some stuff apart. Still doesn't save me on the F-150 from having to pull the entire dash to do the lower motor. Let's see. Tons and tons of pliers. Picked up some Nipex Cobra Pliers. Right there is my snap-on 3/8 tech wrench. More just miscellaneous stuff. There's a set of Cornwell Torx Plus and a set of Cornwell triple squares. There's a cheapo set of security hacks back there. There's some Pittsburgh ball end Maverick Allens. Same thing. Mac micro turns. Don't need those much, but when you do need them, they're really great. Cheapo stuff in there. There's a set of Pittsburgh Harbor Freight crow's feet. I really don't use those that much, but if I do, I'll upgrade to a nicer set. I haven't broken one of those yet, though. Oh, what's down here? This used to be full of air tools. Not so much anymore. Changed almost entirely over to Milwaukee Electrics. This is the Milwaukee Die Grinder. It's crazy that I'm using a battery-operated die grinder, but I use this thing all the time. What else? Got the ubiquitous Power Probe micro torch kit. There's a cigar box of discs, bristle discs, things like that. Love using cigar boxes in my toolbox because they're generally pretty short and you can fit quite a bit of stuff in them. Keeps clutter down. My old Ingersoll Rand grinder went down, so I replaced it with that Cornwell one. That's been pretty good. Alright, back up to the top here. What do we got in here? We got my 3/8 and quarter Milwaukee electric ratchets, hose picks, tire depth things, 18650 batteries from my lights. Next, got that Cornwell set of screwdrivers. Got my Cornwell pick set. Carbon scrapers, junk picks. There's some VW timing tools for the 1.8, 1.9, and 2 liter diesels. Some test things, known good IPR for a 6 liter. Grenade pens from different timing belts. That is a air tester for 6 liter high pressure oil. What else? I got these Cornwell Oring picks. These things are pretty sweet. I use these quite a bit. I do a lot of hydraulic work, so those come in handy. Saw these in a YouTube video. Forgot whose it was, but these were an awesome purchase. These are the flat snap-on hose picks. I use these things all the time. My pointed large hose picks I don't even use for hoses anymore. Use them for cotter pins, various things wherever I need it. What else we have here? Helicoils, interior tools, mini ratchet. What's all in here? Some big hub wrenches, piston tool, drill. There's a Mac flywheel tool, valve tool, What is this thing? A valve lapper. There's a gland wrench. Some stuff for my slide hammer. And this bottom drawer, various stuff. A lot of gauges in here. Indicators, micrometers, some drill bits, some snap-on extractors. Here's a Mac extractor set. I sent in my old one, which was a made in the USA, nice extractor set that had just gotten broke, and they replaced it with this made in China piece of garbage. Mac has seriously declined in terms of quality. I think I'm going to avoid them in the future. I had been using them for all my drill bits and extractors and taps because they're lifetime warranted. Well, what good does that lifetime warranty do you if those extractors break the first time you use them? It's aggravating. There's hydraulic seals for some of the more common hydraulic leaks that I fix. Yeah, what else here? On top of the table, there is stuff, junk. There's my dedicated tablet for VW VCDS, chargers, giant capacitor for a little experiment I've wanted to do but never have time to do, 18650 battery charger, some hammers, 42-inch Cornwell Pry Bar. Next drawer, we've got extensions, ratchets. Finally bought myself a snap-on ratchet. I bought that little quarter drive. That thing's awesome. I will probably buy more snap-on ratchets. Although, not using ratchets as much these days now that we have electrics. This is a marking drawer, measuring drawer, a lot of taps, a lot of drill bits. These are all my single-use taps, odd things that aren't in the kits. Feeler gauges, got a few sets of feeler gauges in there, long feeler gauges. Do a lot of lapping, not injector lapping. Oh, never mind. Anybody who works on diesel knows what I'm talking about. Then next drawer, we have some snap-on files, old input shaft I use for beating things. There's a big fan tool. There's a set of Starrett pen punches. What else? Next drawer, dead blows, big brass drift. That's a snap-on. There's a big block Chevy clutch alignment tool. Got some air hammer things, Cornwell brass drift set. And next drawer, well, it won't even open, but nothing interesting in there. Different types of pullers, some air fittings, things like that. And down here, this is kind of the junk drawer. More hydraulic fittings, paperwork, warranty stuff from customer vehicles. There's my homemade 6-liter flushing tool. Nothing too interesting there. Let's see. All right, now we're going to go to the next box. Okay, so here's my U.S. General tool cart, 5-drawer. It's been a pretty good tool cart. For what it costs, it's actually quite awesome. Got some various things in there. There's a big Cornwell 1/2-inch ratchet. There is my super long extension. Clamp fell. Pittsburgh long screwdrivers. Here are my most used sockets, starting with these Cornwell 1/4-inch metric swivels. Use those all the time. Here's my mixed set of 3/8 metric swivels, snap-on 3/8 drive deep, in standard. These are the ones I use. I don't have the whole set. My beloved Cornwell metric mid deeps. Just picked these up. These were on special on the Cornwell truck this month. This is the 1/2 inch metric set. These go from, I believe, 24 down to 13. Those came on a really cool Vim magnetic rail. Price was great on those, couldn't say no. Then I got a Cornwell set of metric deep swivels. Never thought I'd use those. I actually use them all the time. There's my 3/8 Milwaukee gun. There's my 1/4 inch Milwaukee gun. There's a couple of 3/4 inch drive extensions. One's a Cornwell, the other one's a Snap-on. Here are a lot of my big sockets. I've got everything in here. There's some Pittsburgh. There's a Snap-on. Here's a, what is this thing? Oh, that's an old Snap-on. Here's a massive Snap-on 7/8 in 1 inch drive. What I use this for is if I'm doing dozer tracks. Caterpillar uses that 7/8 bolt, hold the shoes on. A lot of times those things are corroded or beat up and won't come off, so I'll put this on my 1 inch gun and I just snap them right off. A lot of times that works better than the torch. It doesn't get everything all hot either. You know, quick way to do things. We got here, there's a lug tool for bud tool for a big truck. There's the standard. Here's my metric bud. And some big sockets. Here's a 4-wheel drive socket. All kinds of things. Some Carlisle mix bag. And some Craftsman pry bars. Call these Mac Pry Drivers. If you don't want me to use a screwdriver as a pry bar Mac, you probably shouldn't start the product number there with a P, because I know that has a lot of different letters in it. It doesn't say that, but when I'm in a hurry, I look at that and that says Mac Pry Bar USA. Vessel, Phillips, can't think. Here's a set of Craftsman Professional Torx screwdrivers. Okay, now let's go down to the first drawer here. Get some different pliers, some Snap-on battery pliers, Nip-X cutters, some flush cutters. Oh, sorry about that, my camera gimbal kind of went crazy there. There's a tool for doing soundproofing. Scissors, hemostats, that kind of thing. And we'll go into the next drawer. Got some different wiring stuff there, a bag of terminal tools, some resistors, LEDs. There's my scope, or camera rather. Here is a set of Snap-on angle metric wrenches. You'll notice that the 14 millimeter is missing. That needs to get warrantied. This had an apprentice attack. Told my younger guy that I wanted him to go change a battery terminal on a golf cart, warned him about not crossing the lines and disconnecting the negative and the positive at the ends of the battery chain. He didn't listen to me, put that on there, arced over in between the contacts and just burnt the end of this wrench almost completely off. I told him, you got to be careful, it's 48 volts DC, it will get you into trouble. Didn't listen. Now I'm out of wrench. Hopefully Snap-on warranties that. Otherwise, he's buying me a new wrench. There's my Fluke 88. Big fan of Fluke. It's the only multimeter to buy, in my opinion. Sorry for the cut. Trying to use something new here, a camera gimbal, but it keeps just going crazy on me. Next drawer, electrical diagnostics stuff. What do we have here? Alligator clips, test leads, test lights. Here is my Power Probe 4. Yeah, Power Probe 4. Fuses, more test lights, more terminals, all kinds of things in here. What is missing though is right here, normally I have a Fluke wire tracer. Now, I don't see many people in the auto mechanic or equipment mechanics using a circuit tracer or a line tracer. I wish I had it in here to show you because it is an awesome tool. I can put the signal generator on a line, and I can follow that line through any harness, any piece of loom, anywhere without having to cut stuff up. So I can find the other end. I can go back, I can trace through the loom, I can look for cuts in the loom and the harness, suspect areas where there might be a short. Seem to run into those problems with heavy equipment quite a bit. It's a great tool. I highly recommend everyone gets one. I wish I had it here to show you, but it's a Fluke signal tracer, wire tracer. Okay, upper drawer here. Stupid thing. I'm gonna leave that in because I'm kind of tired of making these cuts. Okay, so we got a snap-on battery tester. This is the EECS 350. This is a great battery tester. I work on a ton of different stuff, including golf carts with 8-volt cells. This is one of the very few battery testers that will test an 8-volt cell. It has that setting in the menu. It is expensive, but it is great. Underneath there, that's my Fleur C2, I think it is, thermal camera. If you're doing auto mechanics or especially heavy equipment mechanics, and you don't have a thermal camera, you're missing out. You're spending a lot of time diagnosing hydraulic leaks and taking things apart to find things that you don't need to be doing. Here's the dongle in for my Auto Ingenuity license. I use that as a scan tool quite a bit because I work mostly on Ford diesels and some Cummins too, but that is a very powerful scan tool. Here's my Altel code reader for heavy duty trucks and agricultural equipment, heavy machinery. That is pretty much it for my toolbox. The one thing that's not in this top drawer because it's being used at the moment is my Milwaukee half-inch drive impact gun. Those things are great. Like I said, I do heavy equipment work, so I find myself in the dirt, in the mud, fixing things quite a bit. The advent of these new electrics has just changed everything about the way I do stuff. No more hoses. I can take this stuff out in the field on service calls. Makes life easy. Okay, up here are the blow molded cases. Vacuum pump on top of a vacuum pump. Various things here, ball joint tools, all kinds of stuff. I don't think anybody wants to see me go through every one of those cases. There's a CAT D3C service manual on top there. That's one of my favorite tools. That is a snap-on 3/4 inch drive torque wrench. Let me go through here, testing tools, gauges, snap-on rethreader kit, bushing tool. I don't know what that is. Here's a Cornwell air hammer kit. Here is my Mac tap and die set. Even though I am angry with Mac, the USA made stuff from Mac was pretty awesome. It just makes me nervous every time I use it that I'm going to break it and then end up with Chinese garbage. What's that? Everybody has the Harbor Freight blow molded case kits, harmonic balancer pullers, the fuel injection tester. Here is this is almost worth getting down. It's kind of cool. That is a Caterpillar full hydraulic test kit. That tests all kinds of different hydraulic fittings on just about every equipment. Has all kinds of adapters for putting gauges in line. It's pretty awesome. So that's about it. Let's see if I can get this camera to gimbal down. No, maybe. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, now that my camera is working again, I've got the 60-inch Cornwell Pry Bar. Fun stuff. There's some garbage Harbor Freight welding helmets. I don't use those for welding. I use those for grinding. Transmission jack, porta power, slide hammer. Everything's all kind of tossed in here. Down there's a bunch of 20-ton bobble jacks. Use those for heavy equipment, moving things around, putting things back together. So this is not the most ideal tool storage system. I will be very happy to get out of here. My new shop will be a 32 by 36. I'm going to do a concrete floor. I already picked up a used 15,000 pound 2-post lift that's going in there. I'm pretty excited about it. Either I'm going to go with the big US General toolbox, or if Harbor Freight gets their credit thing straightened out in time, I may actually go for an Icon box. I'm not too interested in buying a Cornwell or a Snap-on box, and the reason being is I can't pay for that out of pocket, and I think their interest rates are absolutely ridiculous. Harbor Freight is promising 0% interest for 36 months. That's pretty attractive on a toolbox. I guess I could do that, or maybe I can pick up a used Snap-on box. But anyways, once I get all moved over, I will do another toolbox tour. Thanks for watching. Just realized I totally forgot this bottom drawer. This drawer has a lot of my electrical connectors and repair stuff, terminals, crimps. There's a bunch of crimp-on terminals. There's a crimper, big wire tape, Tessa tape, various parts. There's some soundproofing tape. There's a cigar box full of all my big copper terminals. And here I have, this is the connector set for my Astra WeatherPack crimper. And then right here I have a Snap-on starter button. So, just wanted to throw this in at the end here, as I forgot to cover it.